A poem about Barnabas. I'm reading this in June 2023, and this coming Sunday, St Barnabas' Day, is going to actually fall on the Sunday, on the 11th of June 2023. I don't know if anyone will be listening to it before then. Barnabas. From a lovely church, still in its cradle, warmed by the Spirit, overflowing with generosity, comes a generous man, Barnabas. Joseph, a Levite from Cyprus. There must be a long story there, and since, a long return back to Jerusalem, where the Levites once served at the temple. That temple is now the people of the risen Jesus, apostles testifying. In their shared life, they declare the radical newness of putting faith into practice, caring for the poor. Joseph has a field. Where, we ask, nearby or back in Cyprus? Sells it and puts all in the shared purse. God is no man's debtor. This man will always have more love to give. Son of encouragement, rare treasure in God's church. Silent years until the age of Saul, scourge of the church. Untrusted rumours of transformation at Damascus. Apostles play safe and give a wide berth to him as he returns to Jerusalem. But Barnabas trusts God and the new Saul, reaches out a hand of welcome, marvels at God's grace, and leads him to the leaders and tells them his story and how in Damascus he became a fearless preacher. Once again, Barnabas steps back, but remembers God's call upon Saul to bring Christ to the Gentiles. God finds new missionaries. Stephen has been killed, and Christians are scattered but not silent, taking the gospel with them. In case we miss the point, Acts tells us the apostles remained in Jerusalem. Cypriot Jews in Antioch burst the wineskins and shared the good news with Greeks as well as Jews, and God grants his blessing. When word gets back to Jerusalem, an inquiry is called for, but in God's purposes, they choose Barnabas as their envoy. He knows God's handiwork when he sees it. His heart is gladdened and mouth opened to join the preachers. How are you, Barnabas? Good, thanks. And he really was good. Acts tells us so. His memory stirs. God has a man for this. He travels far by land or sea, either way long and difficult, to find Saul in Tarsus and call him to his destiny. In Antioch they preach together. Many come to faith. The name of Christian is born. Prophets from Jerusalem foretell hard times back home, a famine. Once again, faith in practice, as Jesus' new followers send relief, entrusting all to the safe hands of Barnabas and Saul. another tragedy has struck the church. James is the first apostle to be murdered, but Peter is miraculously delivered, and Herod, the persecutor, dies. Time for Barnabas, accompanied by Mark, a relative, and Saul, to return to Antioch. Not there long, however. God the Spirit is ready to move them on. As they pray, God leads. A short sea journey takes them over to Cyprus, well known to Barnabas. Here Saul begins to take the lead. No resentment from Barnabas, but was it harder for his relative Mark, who deserts them at their next stop in Pamphylia? The missionaries travel on, Saul, now Paul, the leading preacher. Blessing, persecution, taken for gods in Lystra, Barnabas Zeus and Paul Hermes because he was the speaker. Short shrift with that. Stones soon flying, Paul badly injured, but they carry on before returning to strengthen all their converts. Finally, they return to Antioch, from whence they were sent. Joyful homecoming, so much to share about how God had continued to bring Gentiles to himself. Grey clouds mount as people from Jerusalem argue that all these new Christians need to keep the Jewish law and undergo circumcision. Off to Jerusalem to put their case. Barnabas takes the lead this time. Good outcome. Peter and James speak up. Just avoid the practices which are truly wrong, or those that give most offence. Back to Antioch with the good news. Encouragement, a word that seems to follow Barnabas around. Can God work even through dissension? Yes. Paul decides it's time to visit the churches once again. Great idea. Let's take Mark again. Give him a second chance, says Barnabas. No way, says Paul. He let us down so badly. 2 missionary journeys instead of 1. And as Acts says farewell to Barnabas, it leaves him in Mark's company and back to where they were just before everything went wrong, Cyprus. Yes, Paul was the big man, and we delight to see the gospel spreading through the Roman world. Passing reference in the letters to his continued travels and sacrificial labours, one lapse not hidden, giving way to Judaizers on table fellowship. But Barnabas' generous-hearted legacy lived on in Mark. I need him. He's useful to me, admits Paul in his last imprisonment. To say nothing of Mark's gospel,